In this lecture, we're going to talk about the habit of spirituality, mindfulness and control, and it's so important. Now, some of you might not want to implement any kind of spiritual habits, and that's fine. If that's the case with you, just skip this lecture. But I highly recommend you don't, because spirituality and having some kind of habits that feed your spirit and that nourishes the spiritual side of yours can be exceptionally beneficial. So I want to talk about some examples of habits of spirituality that you can implement in your life and what you'll get out of them. So without any further ado, let's get to it and explore some of those habits. First off, spirituality is not meditation. Now, let me rephrase that. Spirituality is not necessarily meditation. Just like you have various training systems you can follow to train your body, the same thing applies to spirituality. It is not just through meditation that you achieve spirituality. There's a lot of different habits that we're going to talk about that you can use and implement to nourish the spiritual side of yours. So here are some examples. First, meditation, obviously. Second is gratitude. Well, a lot of people, they like to keep a gratitude journal. Every single day, maybe, once you wake up or before going to bed or any time during the day, you open the journal and you write 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 things you're grateful for and write down why you're grateful for what you wrote. This habit focuses on your spirituality, it can boost your mood, and there's a lot of research that has been done on gratitude journals, and it has been found that people who picked up the habit of, journaling what they're grateful for, writing about some of the things they're grateful for, their happiness levels tend to increase after less than a month. So that being said, it's a very effective habit that maybe you'd want to consider. Maybe you tried it in the past, and it's just overall, it's just absolutely amazing. When you start counting the blessings in your life and you start counting everything that's going right, it just puts you in a better mindset. Second habit is journaling. If you're a creative person and you like writing, or just in general, journaling is a good habit. It gives you, you get this time to write down your thoughts. And when you write down your thoughts on a piece of paper, you become a lot more aware of those thoughts and you can indulge in self-reflection better. And you should become more aware. You have this better form of mindfulness and you're aware of your thoughts and your emotions and how you feel and what you experience. You might want to do journaling every day, maybe every morning or every night, or you might want to do journaling every Sunday, for example. I personally try to pick up the habit of journaling, but I have a very busy life and I just wasn't able to keep up with it, but I know how important it is. So every Sunday, I would do some journaling about the week that passed and the week that's following ahead. I write down about everything I experienced this week, what I learned and all that. And then I write down what I want to experience next week and what I want to achieve next week. And I found that to be very effective. So if you're not a big fan of journaling every single day, maybe you want to journal once a week, even maybe once a month. As long as you do it, it's a really good way of indulging in spirituality and kind of creating and implementing a spiritual habit in your life. Now, another habit is self-reflection. What you will do is basically take some time every day where you close your eyes and just observe. Observe what you feel, what you're thinking about, what state of mind you're in, and what kind of emotions you're feeling. And if you feel like you're having those kind of emotions that are they're bringing you discomfort or you feel unease, you might want to think about something else. The brain can only focus on one thing at a time. That is a fact. Your brain can only focus on one thought at a time. And try it right now. Can you think about two thoughts at once? Unless you're, Albert Einstein, you have Albert Einstein's IQ times a million, you can't do it. Your brain can only focus on one thought at a time. And when you switch your focus, when you do the self-reflection, you notice your thoughts, and then you switch your focus towards another thought, this can be a very helpful spiritual exercise. Another thing is visualization. If you have your life vision, you know where you're headed. It doesn't only have to be your life vision. Maybe you want to visualize how you want your day to be tomorrow, or how you want your week to be, or the month, or the year. Visualization is very important because it helps you recreate images of what you want to experience in the future, to create it in your head before the event takes place. So when you get there, you're already mentally prepared. You already prepared the mental images and the mental scenarios of what's going to happen and how you're going to feel and what you're going to experience. And overall, it's actually an exercise that can bring you a lot of happiness and joy when you close your eyes and you start imagining a brighter future of what you will achieve in the future and who you're going to be tomorrow. I know this can kind of contradict mindfulness, which is to be in the now and be present. But again, I want you to pick an exercise that you feel comfortable with, an exercise that you actually enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing the exercise, you're going to have a hard time implementing the habit. And lastly, I want to talk about affirmations. And I touched base on that a bit in another lecture. I don't know if you went through it yet or not. But basically, there's a lot of psychological research that says affirmations don't work. And that's right. They're absolutely right. Affirmations don't work in the mainstream sense that people follow. If you're feeling upset, if you're feeling depressed, and you sit there in your room and just start repeating to yourself and you say, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I feel amazing, but you don't really feel it, you're not going to change how you feel. Your words don't really have much impact on how you feel. But when you embody the affirmation, when what you say is also what you're trying to feel, if you try to force in the emotion, and this is where I talked about if you want to implement a system where you combine visualization and affirmations, where you're visualizing something that brings you positive emotions, that makes you happy, that makes you joyful and motivated, and at the same time you repeat to yourself, while you're visualizing yourself, you say, I'm happy, I'm motivated, and you're embodying the emotions, then the affirmations can be a spiritual habit that can be very effective in your life. And conscious awareness is something that is basically included in any spiritual habit that you want to implement. You need to be consciously aware of what's happening. So now, you need to pick a goal and figure out your motivation behind it. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen in front of you right now, maybe go through the beginning of the lecture again or through the previous slide again and pick out some of the habits that you want to implement in your life that you think you resonate with. And pick a goal. What do you want to practice spiritually? What kind of spiritual habits do you want to implement? And based on that, pick a mindfulness system that tackles the goal itself. And then with proper goal setting, you'll be able to find the motivation more often as it is linked to a desirable goal that you're seeking. Finally, 3 points I want to touch on. First, start small. Start with one tiny habit. If you're not really familiar with implementing habits in your life before, start with one tiny habit that you can surely implement, whatever it is. Write one thing you're grateful for. Repeat one affirmation while doing visualization for 1 minute. Meditate for 2 minutes, whatever. Pick a really tiny habit just to prove to yourself that you can do it, that you have the capability of picking up this habit, and you will start noticing how the habit will make you feel, which will align with your goal, improve your sense of motivation, and then you can start picking up the pace from there, implementing more habits, going for longer, writing more stuff. And all of that to kind of tackle the accountability problem. So you need to set an accountability system to reinforce the habit. I talked a lot during this course about the habit tracker that's included. Use it. It's a really good source, a resource that you can use to keep up the sense of accountability, which brings us to consistency. When you start small and you keep yourself accountable and you keep yourself consistent, you keep up with the consistency, you analyze your progress based on the consistency and not perfection. Remember, the aim is not perfection. If you do your new spiritual habit for 8 days and then you fail to do it on the 9th day, that doesn't mean that you're a failure and that you need to quit the habit. No. Readjust, reposition yourself, see what went wrong, why you didn't do it. Maybe you just didn't feel like it, and make sure that you do it again tomorrow. Or if you're not tomorrow, the day after, but don't stop. If you fail once, it doesn't mean that the habit is not working or you're not good enough. It just means that sometimes we have a bad day and we slip. As long as you get back to it, keep track of your consistency rate and focus on progress, not perfection. Again, for those of you who watched this entire lecture, I highly recommend you implement at least one spiritual habit in your life, because you need to nourish your brain and your mind. You need to nourish your body and take care of it. You need to also take care of your spirit, because if your spirit is strong, it will unfold on your body and on your brain and generally in your life. I really hope you guys enjoyed this lecture, and I'll see you all in the next one.